Teaching is phenomenal, but secret, I learn way more than I teach. Students are my favorite part of my job by far. Love having engaged discussions with my students where I'm learning and they're teaching, and that's definitely why I think anyone goes into teaching. So when I was 3 years old, I used to play school. I bet you're shocked. And I used to have two students, and their names were Gaga and Geeky, and we did school all the time. And my parents were teachers, and then later in administration, and they absolutely forbid me from going into education. And so I feigned that I wanted to go into law, because law has to do everything with language, because language is our most powerful tool. So I just, I pretended like I was going through the law thing. I ended up in communications, and then when I turned 30, after I had done my little stint in the business world as a copywriter, I said, so now I'm going into teaching, and that's where I am right now. The best advice I've ever been given was from my swimming coach. I was a swimmer from age 8 to age 22, and my high school coach was a very important person in my life, Mr. Luke. And the day that I missed the state cut by .04, it's not very much time, by the way, I missed my state cut, and I was crouched in the bus seat, between the seats, and crying and pretending that no one could see me as a high school senior. And he came up and sat next to me and put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "Now, Laura, this too will pass." And he was right. You know, I'm kind of a fan of wild things. I like to do things that push me out of my comfort zone, and I do all kinds of things that some people think are kind of nuts. I do less dangerous things now that I'm a mom, but I guess the coolest, original thing I guess I would say I've done is I got married on top of Mount Albert, which is the highest peak in the Rockies, and that's an altar. My favorite hobby is really hard to answer because I have tons and tons of hobbies, and I'm interested in learning new things all the time. So I like to ski and swim and bike and run, and I like to do things outside, and I like to canoe and kayak and paddleboard, and I like yoga, and I like doing artsy crafty things. So like last night I was doing, you know, I played guitar for a little while, and then I ended up making bookmarks out of leather hide that my husband uses for his knife making stuff. And I don't know, favorite hobby is just depending on the minute, sort of episodic.